empathy versus sympathy. So empathy is when you can truly feel someone's feelings, right? And if you've ever been in that situation, having sympathy for somebody is like, okay, you hear something, sad, or they're going through grief or something. Oh, I'm so sorry. I have sympathy for you. Kind of very surface level. You do feel bad for them, yes, but true empathy is much deeper than that. It's truly feeling. If you've ever been around someone who's grieving or has been through something, and your heart just literally aches, and you can just feel their emotions as they're talking to you and they're going through their situation and they're explaining something. And however, you do have to be careful with that, because people who are empaths, right? You can have empathy for somebody and not be an empath. I want to explain that too. So there's this careful line with empaths where we offer so much empathy that we tend to overshare and
Mm.
really, or we give too much of our energy. So that's the boundary that we have to give to ourselves
That's
as
a
empaths.
big one. And I've
Yeah.
had been connected with people um, a few years ago, a nurse, and she had to take every third day off because she was drained. And she said, I don't
Yeah.
know what it is. I'm getting sick again. I'm like, no, you are feeling what the patients are feeling, and you're
Yeah.
taking it on. And
Yes.
you need to put up some blocks. And she was an in-home nurse, so she was very connected with their personal
Oh,
situations,
yeah.
would speak about them like they were family, and it
Yeah.
just overtook her. And I said, "You need to realize what you got going on here. You have a high level of
Sure,
empathy."
absolutely. Oh my goodness, I give so much credit and have so much heart for people who are able to do that. That's a huge deal. It's no different because, like you said, they've created this bond. They're like family to them, right? Because they're in home with them
Yeah,
and they're in their day to day. But it's no different from caring for a loved one who's bedridden and going
yeah,
through that situation. You naturally, you're human beings. You have a heart. Your heart's going to go out to them. Having boundaries, though, however, even if you're not an empath, but you are in that situation, and you're around someone or in a situation, you're just having to care for them. It is going to drain you. It certainly is going to take your energy from you. No different from, let's say, for example, you're a new mom, right? And you've got little kids, and you just want to give, and you do. However, moms need mom time, right? So boundaries are so important, so incredibly important, which is why we should not feel guilty at all about instilling them in our life and communicating them. Communicating them, okay, mommy needs our mommy time now. I need to go take the bath, even, the door's closed, whatever. Uh, you know, Draw these lines, have these boundaries for our own inner peace and a relationship with ourselves again. Because if you lose that, for goodness sakes, there's no way you can have a healthy relationship with anybody if you lose your peace and you fall out of alignment.
oh,
So
oh,
boundaries are so important.
it really is. You're just, kind of getting by as opposed to really living life. How do you
Right.
put up those boundaries? Let's say you have a high level of empathy,
Hmm.
um, in the nurse situation or, anything similar. How do you, how do you, how do you do that? How do you put the boundaries up? How are you intentional about, only giving so much
Right.
as you can give?
Sure. Well, I can explain this from personal experience. I wasn't a nurse, but I was a medical assistant. But I think my best experience comes from 10 years of being in ministry. And the 10 years of being in ministry and leading, and that's just very draining. Doing ministry work, and you're just constantly volunteering, and your heart's for the needy and helping. So, just from my own personal experience, I can explain that the first step in that is, of course, awareness and seeing how much that it's draining you, and not just on a physical level. It's literally draining your energy, right? And your mental state, your spirituality, your physical, your emotional, all of it, every piece of it. So coming to a conscious awareness of that, and then realizing it is okay to step back. I had ministry burnout so many times because I felt guilty that these people needed me. The needy need me. Who else is going to help them? Blah 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 blah. But I hit the ground more than once. So I think when you ask, how do you do that? First, of course, awareness, yes, but realizing, put away the guilt, put it away, just put it away.
Yes, that's the other part of it, I do believe, where you
Yeah.
feel guilty that, oh, well, I'm not doing enough. I'm not giving enough of me.
Yeah.
Hmm. That's a
Yeah.
tough one.
Yeah. And what I realized with that was, oh my goodness, I think the reason for that is because I'm not in a secure attachment style. So when I learned about the four attachment styles, I realized I was a codependent. So,
Hmm.
which and funny enough, I learned all of this. Um, the second piece of it was when I became a relationship coach to heal my past childhood trauma and heal my inner child
Sure.
wounds, so on and so forth. But the first part was what led to that was a ministry work called the Stevens Ministry that I did. So learning what boundaries was. And when I learned about this, I'm like, wait a minute. Here I am oversharing, getting ministry burnout, and I'm in this ministry learning about boundary development. Why did anybody tell me this? And I'm 45, how 45 years old I think it was when I learned. I'm like, what in the world? This book that you handed me should be in all high schools. So yeah, that's where I learned all that from. But having the awareness and then finding the knowledge, find the right resources to understand who you are and stick to it and make it a practice. And it's not going to be easy, right? So if you're feeling guilty about setting boundaries, if you're feeling guilty about doing that, you just literally have to just put it away and make it a practice and make it a habit, just like all the other pieces were a habit. The other pieces of oversharing were the habit. The other pieces of always saying yes instead of no when you wanted to say no, that was a habit as well. So just reprogram that mindset and tell yourself it does no one any good to completely exert yourself, have no energy, and lose your peace when you think your intentions are good and they are. However, the end result is you losing your peace, right? And maybe it'll probably end that relationship as well if you don't focus on yourself and set some boundaries and step into that and put away that guilt.
Do you
So
feel,
Hi,
Tiffany,
it's
that the
Tiffany, Coach Tiffany. I just wanted to say hello and thank you to all of my subscribers out there. Thank you for subscribing and don't forget to hit the like button. It really means a lot and I appreciate your support. Also, if there's anything that you want me to cover or create in any kind of content, please feel free to go ahead and comment below. Thanks again. Have a great day.